What's up, QAA listeners?
The fun games have begun.
I found a way to connect to the internet. I'm sorry, boy. Welcome, listeners, to Chapter 208 of the QAnon Anonymous podcast, the Elon Musk Becomes a Mod episode. As always, we are your hosts, Jake Rockatansky,
Julian Field,
and Travis View.
The world's richest man, Elon Musk, now has a lot less money to spend on horses for his sexual harassment victims. And that's because he teamed up with investors, including the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, to purchase Twitter for a whopping $44 billion. The first big promise change? Making people pay for verified accounts. And that is a real shame, because without that precious blue check mark, anybody with a fake name and a stock photo could claim to be Travis View.
The real danger.
So true. You know, he's under attack, so of course he had to write an episode about it. So here we are.
Yeah, I'm going to really stick it to him.
After Musk sealed the deal, he promptly got to work joining Republicans and spreading fake news about the attack on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband in their home. Now, Paul Pelosi was assaulted by a hammer-wielding former nudist who was radicalized by right-wing conspiracy theories online, and, of course, because things are weird, is also Canadian. So, fun stuff in this episode. We'll be untangling this mess, and...
Not me.
You won't be untangling
No,
it?
I'm going to stay
You're
tangled.
going to be retangling.
Okay.
You'd be adding some more tangles to the mess.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a whole hoorah's nest up here. You know, it's no brush. No brush is going to straighten these curls out.
Maybe I can help you with this hammer.
No. No.
All right,
Can't.
Travis, take the podcast away from us.
Well, yeah, before I really get started, I want to point out that we're a podcast that talks about online fringe conspiracism and how it kind of like intersects and sort of leaps out of the internet and affects the real world. And we're supposed to talk about weird fringe topics, things that the normies aren't even aware of until it's too late and it affects them too. But instead, today, we're talking about the most discussed news items in the country, because we live in an increasingly pilled world in which weird, fringe, online conspiracism and mainstream news items are just one and the same. So I just wanted to point that out, how disturbing that is. So back in April, Elon Musk offered to buy Twitter for the meme price of $54.20. That's $50 for $20. $54.20. Very funny.
Got it. So a little nod to the 420 enjoyers out there, I guess.
Yes, because it was very funny. So that would value the company, overvalue the company at $44 billion. He himself, Elon himself, has acknowledged this is an overvalued price. But I think it's worth noting that Elon tried to back out of this deal not once, but 3 times because of this. So important context when he talks about how much he wanted to buy Twitter because he wanted to like help humanity and stuff. He apparently did not want to help humanity at the price he paid for it.
Yeah, he also said at one point he was going to like help solve world hunger by putting $6 billion into that. But no, not going to happen. And I guess he found a lot more to just buy a company in which he didn't like the replies he was getting.
It pains me to imagine what $44 billion could have done for those in our society who are struggling.
We could have, for example, converted that money into pennies and then dropped the entire thing on Elon Musk.
That's a lot of pennies, Julian.
I mean, how many of those billion could have gone towards the most expensive hitman on Earth? I won't say what he would do, but you know.
Now, I remember when the lawsuits were going on, they were like, oh, this is like 5D chess. Elon Musk, the genius, what he's doing is that he's making them go to court in order to reveal the bots that are corrupting Twitter, or he's taking them to court in order to lower the price. Instead, what happened was that there was a lot of embarrassing text messages between Elon Musk and other people that were revealed, and it did not lower the price a single penny. So he got nothing. His sort of private communications were exposed, and that's all that was accomplished. Because people keep acting like, every move that Elon Musk does is brilliant. But here's a real tangible example of him trying to do something and then accomplishing nothing but making lawyers slightly richer.
Well, I think what it does show is that our reality, our everyday, the things that, matter to us and our communities are just things that can be blown out of the way by a giant toddler in the big playground we've built for the wealthiest. That they can just follow their whims, do whatever, make a joke, then make it real. They can do anything they want, and then our lives just have to kind of go with that.
And Elon has a history of doing that, of taking things that are sort of internet memes or jokes and trying to turn them into real, tangible sort of things. He's done it with cryptocurrency. Now he's doing it with Twitter. I guess he kind of did it with space. There's
because the unspoken contract was always like, if you're a billionaire and you're working in this fucked up world where basically you can bend reality because you have enough money to, you have to follow certain etiquette, right? You have to pretend that there's still this serious thing happening and that you understand that other people exist out there. And he's just like, well, what if I didn't? He is the spoiled brat descendant of the boring bald guys in the fucking backrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
and he might be
destroying...
bald too if it wasn't for all that money,
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I'm so glad about that.
But he's said himself, the dumbest, stupidest, funniest thing is what ends up, becoming reality.
He said that?
Yeah, he said that. I think he said it on Joe Rogan or something where he basically, and you kind of see, you see that attitude that he's like, well, I actually have the power to make the dumbest thing happen.
But also he's not a joker. He's actually a right-wing fucking type of guy who doesn't believe in labor unions. And so it's like, ha ha ha, but actually, when it comes down to it, he's going to put in place a way shittier world for any workers that have anything to do with things under his control.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, Elon Musk once tweeted that he was going to take Tesla private for $4.20 per share. And this led to, because what he says has real impacts on the market, this led him to settling with the SEC for $40 million in penalties.
Yeah, what the fuck does he care? He doesn't care. People if things don't go his way, as we saw with the Twitter deal, he's just gonna borrow money from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. It's because it's just yeah, Elon, fuck him up. This is funny because they're also very bored. All these young men that have inherited the old money, they're fucking bored as hell. And they're like, oh man, well, this guy at least stirs shit up, let's see what happens. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, because there's no consequences for them whatsoever.
Nothing. And that's why, I think he is bad, but he's also a canary in the coal mine that we should all kind of pay attention to, which is that, at this point, if someone of his level wants to just not be serious about our lives, he doesn't have to be. It'll just fuck everything up.
Elon Musk commemorated his purchase of Twitter by posting a video of himself entering Twitter headquarters while holding a sink and tweeting, "Let that sink in."
He's so fucking stupid. He's such a boomer.
It's just a dumb joke. It's just a dumb pun. But that is an example of this kind of wealth. Some people might just say let that sink in and then tap their sink. But this guy has the time, he has the funds to just and the commitment to the bit to bring in a whole sink for a fucking picture. You know what I mean?
But it's it is literally what if you made a Redditor a billionaire?
Yeah,
that's what we're seeing is just some of the worst humor on the internet. Just.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever.
But he thought it was very funny. So here's the video.
It's not even a great bit.
No,
I mean, the video
so
payoff is not
sad.
great. It's just he did it. He doesn't know what a good button is to sort of get out of the bit. It's just
because he's an entirely humorless motherfucker.
No.
Actually,
Here's what kind of bothers me about Elon Musk is that billionaires generally think that regular people are worms who are only good for like labor and wealth extraction. But Elon Musk also thinks regular people are worms, but he also wants the worms to think he's cool and funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Mark Zuckerberg isn't like that. Mark Zuckerberg, he's trying to create like this metaverse thing in which he is a god, in which we are all plugged in to a matrix, in which every surface is a potential ad media, and he wants to turn us all into batteries, but he doesn't care whether or not we think Mark Zuckerberg is cool or funny. He knows about all of our jokes, our lizard people jokes, and he does not give a shit because he thinks we're so far beneath him.
But that's because Mark Zuckerberg is too busy trying to convince us he's actually human.
Yeah, Elon is just trying to convince you he's funny.
Yeah.
Mark's trying to convince you he's real.
Yeah, it's like there's this weird, why does he? Is this weird insecurity where it's like, oh, if you have that much wealth and power, you'd think you would just not give a shit what the rest of the peasants think, but he seems to give a shit.
It's always been that way, right? I mean, you actually can't escape your humanity. No matter how much money and power you get, you're still the same fucking weird, idiosyncratic human being.
Yeah.
And it's just that now we're in the online age, so we're finding out what it looks like to have a fucking one of the worst types of posters, a Redditor, in charge of something.
It kind of reminds me of like how Ghislaine Maxwell was able to worm her way in the top levels of society. It's like, what exactly value did she bring? And it was that she was able to take these billionaires and make them cool in certain social scenes. They're able to like introduce them to people, and apparently that was something that money normally couldn't buy, which is like being cool or being around the cool people.
So you're saying Epstein's cool?
No, I'm saying that.
Sounds like you're saying Epstein's cool.
First of all, the first thing I'm saying is fuck you, Julian. And the second thing I'm saying is that
Here we go. Let's get it.
She was able to leverage her sort of knowledge of how like high level society works in order to make these awkward billionaire nerds into sort of funnel them into like the party circuit.
Yeah, it's true. She did get that, like, what was it, Gateway or Dell? Who was it? It was a Dell.
Yeah, it was the CEO of Dell. Who,
and she like basically was like, you should dress like this, and
dress like this, and then then you donate to these nonprofits so you can get to these cool rooms, and people will like you in a certain way. So yeah.
God, oh, the sadness, just the empty rooms. Every one of these people's inner lives is like that fucking mansion at the end of Citizen Kane. It's just this big empty mansion and everyone's gone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Citizen Kane, that movie about a man a spoiled rich man who bought a media property in order to make himself feel important.
Yep.
So the big change that's coming, allegedly, is that they're going to start charging for the blue check mark. And Elon himself announced this change with this tweet.
Twitter's current lords and peasant system for who has or doesn't have a blue check mark is bullshit. Power to the people. Blue for $8 a month.
Now, blue, that refers to the already existing sort of premium Twitter service.
Yeah, by the way, I know that there's a big kerfuffle and we're about to jump into this, but he also said in another tweet that there's going to still be a tag that is not the blue checkmark or whatever the fuck that labels people that they've been verified as their own public selves.
Yeah, media personality, government officials.
I have a feeling that checkmark's not even really going away. It's just going to look different, and then the blue thing, like having the checkmark next to your name in the old aesthetic sense, is going to become just the whether you pay $8 a month or not. So,
it's been wild to see how
people are so sad
how
about
people
it.
Reacting to it. Oh God, I've seen people that have screenshotted their profile as it stands now and made their banner or made their pinned tweet a picture of what their account looked like when they were verified by the old guard, which is
amazing.
It is so stupid and so such a perfect example of where people's priorities are. And, it's like, let's think about this. It's like, okay, the blue check mark is gone unless you pay $8 a month. That means that Jordan Sather potentially could pay $8 a month and have a blue check mark next to his name.
Sure.
Now, there are other media people who will not pay for the blue check mark, but they still want you to know that they are who they say they are on the platform, where none of that matters anymore, because it's just like...
But that'll still happen via this like secondary tag that he's mentioned or whatever.
Yeah, I mean...
So that's what's so funny, is that the whole thing is just him making a mess, because he's like, well, wait a second. So people are paying for this blue thing, but they don't get a check mark? No wonder no one's signed up for this. Man, let's make them sign up for that, because that's the thing that people really want.
Yeah.
And he's also just angry in general at blue check marks, so he wanted to disrupt the system because he has too many, blue check mark like journalists writing articles about how much of a dipshit he is, which is very funny. I mean, the whole thing is kind of very funny, actually, when you look at it that way. And you know what? Like, maybe this is the beginning of the end of Twitter. And you know what? Fucking hell yeah. Because first of all, there's no fucking way I'm paying $8 a month for anything related to Twitter. I don't give a fuck what it has to do with.
My tweets were way better
money.
when I didn't have the fucking verified badge on.
I feel bad every time I scroll that site.
Yeah.
They should pay me to be on it. Fuck you. I will pay nothing. And I think it's very funny that QAnon influencers will have blue check marks, and that journalists will look dumb if they also pay. And it's a horrible situation.
It's put them into a very precarious position, because it's all of a sudden the caste system no longer matters. You know what I mean? And yet for so many years, this blue check mark was a thing. You had people just, adding Twitter all the time, saying, giving me my check. Where's my check mark? Where's my check mark? We
by the way, we got check marks because we were literally banned from Twitter.
Yes.
And when they reinstated us, they got in touch and we're like, hey, while you're at it, hook us up. And they did. But losing it, couldn't give a shit. Fuck off. Who cares?
Yeah.
What exactly? I mean, I'm ready to just say goodbye to Twitter. Just let's fucking put this. Let's give this thing a Vikings funeral.
Yeah.
Let's fucking put Twitter on a fucking raft. Put it out to sea and shoot a flaming arrow at it, dude.
You know what'll be really, really funny is if all of the conspiracy theorists and, sort of like right-wing QAnon or non-QAnon sort of influencers, all who so desperately wanted to shove it in the libs' faces, they pony up the $8 a month, and all the fucking prior blue checkmark journalists are like, you know what, we're going to Telegram, and the two social media platforms just fucking switch.
There is some argument to be made that this is exactly what Elon wanted. Is that he wanted to be able to fuck up the website where so many replies pissed him off, and that those replies had little verified check marks next to him, and he just wanted to aesthetically reach in there and just scramble that.
Yeah.
And, and if in the process it fucking sinks to the bottom of the ocean, he probably, that's probably a satisfying outcome for him.
Yeah.
So people, it's like, either way, like, he wins because he gets
can
to
write
play
it off
with
as a loss.
Everybody else's money. He doesn't pay any taxes, and it's like, I think it'll make the world more nihilistic than ever. Why not? Why not? I'll pledge allegiance to Elon. Let's go, man. I'm a Muskite, or whatever they call themselves. I'm a musky boy.
It's a muskrat, I think is
a
the
muskrat,
proper
a
term.
musky boy. Yeah.
Just chewing at the wood,
I want Elon's toes in my mouth. I want to ride him like a surfboard.
Well, all right.
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out. It's like, you're right. The checkmark has sort of like, I guess, devolved into like a weird little caste or class system where there are haves and have-nots. But it was intended, in its purpose, is for safety and integrity. Basically, it's like if you see a tweet from, for example, Shaquille O'Neal, who was one of the first celebrities to have a blue checkmark, and you want some assurance that is actually coming from Shaquille O'Neal, or more seriously, if you see like a tweet coming from the White House, you want some assurance that it's actually coming from a government entity and not, someone who just signed up for @WhiteHouse_ or something like that.
Yeah, if you want to verify that Kanye West did in fact say that he was going DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people, you can see that the check mark's there next to his name.
Right.
Guys, clearly the answer here is another social media Twitter clone. So eventually we'll have all of the peasants will have blue check marks, right, on Twitter. That'll be, a no man's land. Truth Social will have, all of your Republican leadership verified on there. And we just need like a realtruth.com where everybody who's a liberal or center left, they can have their own. And Twitter will just be kind of like, Twitter will be, here's what it'll be. Twitter will be like the desert, okay? Truth Social will be Bullet Town.
What?
realtruth.com will be Gastown,
Okay.
and I will be Mad Max roving the wasteland,
my
the
God.
last of the interceptors.
Yeah, I think we need to take Jake out back and put a blue check mark through his head.
Do it. I dare you. Aim it higher so you get it right.
He looks insane. He's wearing a beanie covering most of his head. Oh, God. I've never seen you look so close to like a Gary Busey.
I feel insane. I don't know what it is.
I don't feel good. This week has been horrible.
Yeah.
So you know what? Fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore. I'm going to suck Elon Musk's dick.
The thing that I've always wanted to do and
So
say
bad.
live on the podcast. I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to say it. You've put it out. Julian, as Elon would say, the stupidest, weirdest, thing is often
Don't
the
stop
reality.
quoting, probably misquoting Elon Musk. He's not allowed to go into the quote books, okay? Leave that. I want people to remember Sun Tzu, but not him.
So Elon Musk, obviously, he got a lot of criticism for the $8 a month price. And so in response, he started seeing memes as mentions. He started reposting them. This is also, by the way, a very Trumpian move, or at least a Dan Scavino kind of move, where he sort of like, he reaches into the online world of sycophants, and then he finds the memes that praise him, and he just amplifies them to his 100 million plus followers.
Epic.
So the first meme that Elon Musk reposted is a soy jack meme. So it features the grinning soy jack sort of smiling at a Starbucks drink that costs $8 and then crying and yelling at a blue check mark that also costs $8.
He's also pointing out here that it's 30 minutes for the Starbucks cup and 30 days for the enjoyable
30 days
sip
of joy.
misery. Of fucking misery. Like, oh, yeah, great.
Nah.
Oh, you're slow injecting me with misery for 30 days. That's somehow worse than a Starbucks
He's got it wrong.
frappa-lappa-dappa?
Yeah, one of those delicious Starbucks sweeties with the whipped cream on it. I enjoy every fucking second of that shit. But every time I log into Twitter, every time, unless it's, I get a beautiful message from one of you beautiful, beautiful sweeties out there, every other time, it's misery and pain. It's misery and pain. The only time I get joy on Twitter is reading patch update notes from my favorite video game developers. Everything else can suck it.
Yeah, that's true. And also, Jake does drink these Starbucks drinks over 30 days. By the end, they have mold, but he's still sipping
I can't
the last
anymore.
sips.
Yeah, I can't drink those anymore. Just iced coffee for me from now on. I can't do the sweeties. I found out through my Weight Watchers points that those sweetie, delicious beaties, that's like 3/4 of my points for the day. So can't be doing those anymore.
Yeah, it turns out they're really bad for you, huh?
Apparently they got a lot of sugar. A lot of sugar, a lot of cream, a lot of
Dude,
dairy.
Okay, the white of his eyes are showing above his... It's not good.
Another meme that Musk reposted was an NPC meme.
He loves these.
So it shows an NPC complaining $8 a month for Twitter verification, so much for free speech. And then someone else responds, you can just use Twitter for free, just without the benefits. And of course, the NPC, the unthinking NPC, gets very mad with cross eyes.
Well, but there's some reality to this, right? The idea that, if you have the verified badge and you have that as a, you use that as a source of pride or whatever, you don't want that badge taken away. These folks at the end of the day, even saying, fascist Elon Musk is taking over Twitter and it's going to be a dumpster fire and stuff, they still want people to know that they're special.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
they're important on
I don't
social
know.
media.
I don't know if you saw, someone had like kind of put together the amount of different times that Mueller, she wrote, begged for a verified badge, and it was amazing, just over and over for years, like please, and then cajoling, and then fucking getting angry, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah, and then
this is all we've got left. I
and
want my
then-
little pin. It makes me important.
well, and then they got it, and you know they got it because their account skyrocketed when there was a new investigation to bake.
Of course.
So you can literally, like, if you look, I haven't done this at all. I haven't done this.
No. We would never care about something so
I would
petty.
never care about
We
something
wouldn't care
so
about
petty.
them getting invited to the White House, for example.
But you can pinpoint the announcement of the January 6th committee, and all of a sudden a steep rise in their listenership. And they got 200,000 new followers, and they had to get the verified badge. And now that it's going to be taken away, they have screenshotted a picture of their verified badge, and then also pinned a chain letter, what essentially looks like a chain letter, where somebody crafted the verbiage that's for all intents and purposes, from now until end of time, may it be known that this count was verified pre Elon sale. Like that means anything to anybody. We are squabbling over a made up class system in a online world that isn't fucking real.
Well, it's more real than your freaking NBA 2K, and you care about that.
No, I think it is as real, at least.
We all care about our own online worlds.
I'm trying to think of an argument against that, but I let me think about that, and I will get back to you on why that is not true.
And one other thing is listen, I spent some time working in marketing, and I've never seen a strategy that involves essentially negging your user base, calling them soy jacks and NPCs, and basically calling them whiners for over the changes that you're planning. Like the normal strategy would be like, rest assured, we're going to, alleviate all of your concerns. It's going to be great. There's no hyping. It's just we're making this change, and if you are sad about it, then be sad, you little bitch. It's just a strange strategy.
It's because it's not a strategy. He doesn't care. He can do whatever he wants, and he's gonna. He doesn't give a shit about anything, about how to run companies, because guess what? His smoke and mirrors fucking P.T. Barnum ass approach works just fine. That's how deteriorated things are. It doesn't matter. And in some ways, dropping the fucking mask, dropping the facade of the serious billionaire who actually cares, in the kind of Bill Gates manner, is revealing. There's something kind of refreshing almost about seeing them be giant babies and lose control of their own public narrative.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Julian, you hit it earlier on. I think all he wants to do is sow chaos into a platform and take away the things that he knows will make the people who criticized him or the people he doesn't like mad.
Yes,
he can
afford
that's it.
He can afford to borrow money from the fucking Saudi crown and spend $44 billion and go into debt and fire half the company and do whatever he wants just so he pisses off the 40 people that made him angry by publishing articles and making fun of him online.
Yeah.
Just so, Ken Klippenstein can lose his blue check mark. That's how petty this motherfucker is,
And
dude.
in the meantime, the hilarious thing is that Elon has 100 million followers. He is a massive account. You would think that, look,
but he doesn't care because it hurts his little feelings.
Yeah.
Because it's oh, you didn't get the followers, but you do have a check mark, so it does sting when I see you in my fucking mentions or whatever.
It's all self-esteem shit. I remember when we were doing Twitch streams, and everybody in the chat, there'd be maybe 100 people in the chat having a great time, laughing, and then there'd be one person that was like, your podcast is actually what do you have to say to the allegations that your podcast is platforming QAnon or some dumb shit like that? and I was not able to focus on the 99
No.
people having a great time.
No.
All I could think about was that one
One
person
person.
that's trolling. And so this kind of mentality, this babiness,
Yes,
which
we're
I
big baby.
fully own. It's, no matter how much money is in your bank account, you cannot escape that if you're not working on why that shit pisses you off. And it's clear.
So true.
It's clear that Elon isn't working through any of this shit.
Why would he?
I think he wants to see it crash and burn. I think he's hoping that a huge influx of users who will go, nanny, nanny, boo, boo, fuck you to all the blue check journalists. I'll pay the $8 a month to see, Freedom 1776, Hitlery loses, have a blue fucking check mark next to it. The joy. It all boils down to what will piss off the libs the most. But
also, let's not forget that no matter what we do, no matter how much we make fun of them, this guy has government contracts. He's linked in with the military.
Yes.
He is he's not actually an anti-establishment figure. This man is deeply linked with all of the most evil forces internationally. He can borrow money from the Saudis. Let's not forget that all of this is just
He's been in the Hollywood movies. He's connected to the military. He owns a media company. I mean, he is at the intersection of the deep state.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why I want to suck his penis.
So, I mean, obviously this purchase has excited a lot of conservatives and right-wingers because they think that the change will end the shadow banning, it'll end the censorship, it'll end the deboosting, whatever fucking complaints they have about social media.
Travis, there's a whole new sect of people now complaining about shadow banning. It's flipped.
It rocks.
It's flipped. There are new people going, I noticed that I've lost this many followers.
Yeah.
Does anybody else get unfollowed by me?
Everybody is getting up in the morning and read it. They're literally they're cutting open the corvid of the fucking algorithm and reading the guts and being like, oh, today the algorithm has bad omens.
So a new unintended perhaps consequence is going to be there will be a new slew of conspiracy theorists.
What is for sure is that there will be no rest.
Yeah,
there will be no rest until we are put in our graves.
There will be no rest. Somebody's getting shadow banned. just like, who unfollowed my account? Elon and the Crown Prince, they're working together, and it's a new slew of ways that the system might be being tampered with. And you know what? Those fears are founded because the system is probably going to be tampered with in a certain way that caters to a more favored political perspective.
We have no power. The only thing we can do is that in the moment, if our enemy is being punished under these unfair and nebulous rules we have no control over, we can go, yes, I feel good.
Yeah.
And then when we get punished, we go, oh no, what the heck? Why am I being punished? That's it. Just rejoice in the punishment of your enemies by the fucking nebulous dark forces that control our world. And then because tomorrow it might be you.
Rejoice in the punishment of your enemies.
Okay.
You will. And complain and complain and complain at the punishment of yourself.
A bunch of QAnon influencers actually came rushing back to Twitter, including Jordan Sather, thinking that the new rules would allow them to stay on. Jordan Sather was suspended shortly afterwards because nothing substantively has changed. There's also Romana Didello. She made a new Twitter account.
Yeah.
Great.
She's back.
Great.
The Queen is back.
Yeah, the Queen of Canada, QAnon Queen of Canada. So they're trying. I think her account's still up. They'll probably be suspended soon. But so they're at least testing the waters, trying to. God, these people they love posting so fucking much. They just can't get enough of it. It has not been working out so well. But there's still this great hope. There's still this great, it's like, oh man, once Elon Musk cleans house and fixes everything, then all of a sudden there's going to be free speech on Twitter once again. But I do want to point out that there has been some dissents. There's been a lot of conservatives and right wingers who are not 100% bored on the Elon train. And in fact, Elon Musk caused a bit of stir among conspiracists because his Halloween costume was something called the Devil's Champion.
Mm-hmm.
It consists of a plated red leather armor and a devil's goat head and an upside down cross on the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not a custom costume. It was apparently sold off the rack for $7,500.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't care enough to like do
Have
something
his own
interesting.
costume
He wouldn't
made.
be cool enough to go as a worm like Heidi
Yeah,
Klum.
Heidi
I know,
Klum's
she
costume
fucking
as a
rules,
full-on
dude.
worm. That was actually quite good. Yeah, I gotta give it to her. That was a good costume.
She sucks and she's evil, but that was cool. More of these people need to be put into worm costumes and then find out they can't get out of them. We need to lock these people into the worm costumes.
Yeah, and just leave them in there for a couple of years, so by the end of it, they get spit out like John Voight at the end of Anaconda, just covered in slime, half digested.
Worm costumes for all.
So this was obviously a big problem for the Christian conspiracists who might otherwise be sympathetic to Elon Musk. For example, the right-wing blog Gateway Pundit said this.
Musk's take on free speech should be celebrated, but as of right now, it's quite fair to question why the world's richest man, who is also a major U.S. defense contractor, SpaceX, and is the owner of Neuralink, a company attempting to hook the human brain up to computers, is wearing the Baphomet coupled with inverted crosses as if it's a badge of honor.
So not quite understanding his most potentially enthusiastic supporters on the part of Elon Musk, I think.
Amazing to watch like a room of adults argue over like what the teenager wearing that day like means for them, like what portent it carries with it.
Oh yeah, they're gonna bake everything he does every single day. They're gonna start baking his tweets in detail. So this is not the only sign of cracks between the right and Elon Musk. He also had a falling out with the highly influential MAGA account Cat Turd 2.
Oh, he lost Cat Turd.
So, I mean, Cat Turd 2 has nearly 1 million followers.
No.
I mean, hugely influential on Twitter.
No, not Cat Turd, not Cat Turd.
And so at first, Cat Turd 2 seemed, at least open to the changes. So here's what Cat Turd 2 tweeted at first.
Report. Day 1 of at Elon Musk owning Twitter. I'll be doing this every day to see if anything changes. As of now, I'm still shadow banned, ghost banned, search banned, and Twitter removed 1,200 followers today, as usual, meow. Nothing has changed. I'll report again tomorrow, meow.
I'm going to be posting about this every day. Oh, looks like I woke up again and I'm cursed by God and I'm dirty and I've shat myself.
This tweet was responded to directly by Elon Musk himself, and he said this.
I will be digging in more today.
Yeah, he'll be digging in the kitty litter, trying to find cat turds.
Yeah, just looking for clumps.
Why can't we find the cat turd?
This is what gets me, man. This is like literally the wealthiest man in the world, right? He could go to Antarctica with a trebuchet and launch Lamborghinis and then shoot them out of the sky with a howitzer for fun.
Damn,
if
that
he
sounds
wanted
cool.
to. Instead, he's on Twitter trying to placate Cat Turd 2, trying to reassure Cat Turd 2 that he's going to make all the changes that Cat Turd 2 wants to happen.
Because he's on his phone, like we all are. We have better things to do. We have meaningful interactions we could be having in our life.
True.
And we just have our fucking heads down in our phone.
That's true.
We have the phone disease.
That's a good point.
He is
I have no
terminal.
room to judge.
Yeah, you are a terminal phone disease man, and you're saying that you could be doing a million other things. And look what you spend your time doing.
I have been tweeting a lot less than I used to. And again, I would actually attribute to that to my working on my mental health deliberately.
That's true, but you have also been screen capping cat turd to put it in documents and talk about it.
What? Where are we?
I don't know.
Where are we? We have a billionaire who strong-armed his way, borrowed money from very bad person to complete this sale. And here he is, like, reassuring, like, a complaining account. We don't even know who runs it, called Cat Turd 2.
Do we not know who runs Cat Turd?
I think he's still anonymous. No, he's not been. Whoever runs Cat Turd 2 has
It's
not
not
been
even
doxxed,
Cat
to the best
Turd.
of my
It's
knowledge.
Cat Turd 2.
Yeah.
It's a shitty sequel nobody asked for. Everybody knows how bad cat turds are. Once, at least with a dog, it's outside, it's in the grass. You pick it up, it's in the bag, it's gone. The cat turds, they sit in the sand, they clump up. You gotta scoop in there, dig them out. I mean, if you're talking about animal
you gotta
feces,
put them between sandwich bread.
No.
You gotta eat them.
If we're talking about animal feces, this is the most annoying kind.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say.
The cat turd?
Bird poop falling on
Bird
you
turd?
is another one, but
Bird turd 2.
like horse apples, you can avoid in the street. They're very easy to see.
What the hell is a horse apple?
I don't know. I thought that's what it was called. I gotta go.
Wait, what? What? Well, okay.
I don't even want to be around anymore.
Horse apple. What is happening?
So things started to sour between Elon and Cat Turd 2. This started to happen when Musk tweeted about how Twitter will continue to combat hate and harassment and enforce election integrity policies. And that Elon spoke to civil society leaders from organizations like the Anti-Defamation League, the NAACP, and the League of United Latin American Citizens. This made a lot of people on the right unhappy with Musk, including Cat Turd 2, who tweeted this.
I admit when I'm wrong, and I was 100% wrong about Elon Musk changing Twitter. The new Twitter Meowderation Council
Don't change stuff to meow.
The new Twitter Moderation Council is just a bunch of far-left fanatic groups who were never targeted here. No average Joes, no real conservatives, no one to represent the people actually targeted. 41,000 likes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is Cat Turd complaining about? He's risen to fame in the existing system. Why are they all complaining?
You're right. It's like Cat Turd 2 has more followers than I will ever have, but he's still complaining about how he's like, he and his ilk are shadow banned or suppressed or whatever bullshit.
I'll tell you what it is. They hate that there's no sort of, like, popular is not the right word, but sort of official sort of media group that caters to the right. You've got Fox News and, obviously, but Facebook and Twitter and Hollywood and everybody is speaking. They just, all they want is, what they're mad about is that they feel like B movies, it's like B content. And that's all they care about. They go, it's unfair. That's unfair. Why can't Hollywood make a good movie about how awesome it is to be a conservative? Why does it have to be a shitty fucking mess like the John Schneider movie? Like, it's just...
I mean, you named yourself Cat Turd. What are people supposed to do with this? Like, elevate you to fucking fame on the back of that? I'm sorry, but
And they have. You have Elon Musk answering you personally.
Yeah. Elon Musk. Digging through the litter.
So, I mean, here's what I think that Elon Musk is going to eventually learn is that these people are like perpetually aggrieved.
Mm-hmm.
Like they achieve their status by feeling like they're the underdogs and the oppressed and being stepped on by the man and the structures and everything. It's not that they can't conceive of a way in which it would end. And so they're going to turn on him eventually if they haven't already.
And then he's going to have to go crying back to the libs, and they won't want him. And then what will Elon do?
Whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. You can't win.
So another sign of tension between the right and Elon Musk is his defense of Yoel Roth, who is the head of safety integrity at Twitter. So back in 2017, Yoel Roth made the factual observation that there were some actual Nazis in the White House. This makes a lot of sort of like conservative influencers very, very mad. The Newsmax host Benny Johnson said this.
Dear @Elon Musk, I want you to succeed at Twitter. This critique is based only on cold, hard facts. You will never restore public trust at Twitter when the guy in charge thinks 100 million Americans who support America first are literal Nazis. Not possible. At YoYoL must go.
So I have to say, I don't envy any Twitter employee right now, but Yoel Roth's having an especially tough time because he's being thought of basically as the Twitter deep state, and so he's being targeted for that reason. And honestly, he has done as good a job as anyone could do of keeping Twitter, in line with its own policies against like hate and other things.
Boo! Boo!
On Twitter, I started doing a bit where I said, "Hello, I'm an anonymous person at Twitter. I know all about Elon Musk's secret plan to make Twitter great again, but Musk's plans are being thwarted by longtime Twitter employees, a deep corporate board, if you will. Follow me to learn about the secret battle of good versus evil." I said that because I really think that's going to happen. What's going to happen is that because this whole situation reminds me a lot of the early days of the Trump presidency, where like a lot of people really thought that, oh yeah, Hillary's going to be locked up and the swamp is going to be drained. And we're going to learn about all the crimes of Obama. And everyone from the Obama administration is going to prison and Guantanamo Bay, and it's going to happen. And then the months passed by and it just wasn't happening. It just didn't seem like there was a lot of progress being made on that front. And so, of course, they were primed for QAnon. They had to, in order to resolve that cognitive dissonance between what they thought was going to happen and what was actually happening, they were led to believe that there was a secret plan, there was a secret battle inside the government between good versus evil. And that's probably what's going to happen here, is that as the months pass by, people who think that or think that Musk take over Twitter is going to be this glorious thing that reveal a lot of corruption, and then it'll fix everything, and then there'll be no more shadow bans or whatever bullshit. They're going to start realizing that it's not going to happen, so they're going to start blaming some kind of Twitter deep state, and they're going to start thinking that there's a battle of good versus evil, and quite possibly they're going to start believing sort of like unfounded rumors about like the moves and counter moves between Elon Musk and this corporate deep state.
Yes, when meanwhile the answer will probably what the truth is will probably be something very boring and mean nothing. Like, for example, Elon goes in there and he's like, I want to get rid of all the bots. This is what I'm going to do. And they're going to go, well, Elon,
we've been trying.
Yeah, Elon, we've been trying. It's literally impossible. Or it'll be something like, actually, well, the bots drive up like this engagement and result in, our entire ad revenue actually is based on bots promoting this cut. So there's actually nothing we can do there. It's the same thing with Trump. Comes in, says, I want to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to do this. Gets in and actually gets into the presidency, and people will go, well, Donald Trump, yeah, we've investigated her, 47 times, and unfortunately, we can't find a single crime committed by Hillary Clinton. We've tried. It's just nobody ever knows what's happening behind the scenes, so whatever promises they make or changes they make don't mean anything.
Well, what's actually happening is exactly what happened under Trump. Like, half the people get fired. The rules are made up on the fly by an idiot, and everybody starts to, like, feel distrust and turn on each other internally. That's, yeah, let's go, baby.
Unfortunately, the news of Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter intersects with our next big story. That is the home invasion and assault of Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi. What happened was, in the early morning of October 28th, a very unwell man named David DePape broke into the Pelosi residence looking for Nancy Pelosi. The man instead found Paul Pelosi and proceeded to assault the 82-year-old venture capitalist with a hammer. So it was very clear immediately that this was another example of someone radicalized by right-wing rhetoric online. But the incident came at an inconvenient time for Republicans because the midterm elections are right around the corner. So instead, they tried to throw up a smokescreen of nonsense conspiracy theories and disinformation in an attempt to distract from uncomfortable facts. So before we kind of talk about the conspiracy, I want to try and lay out what is actually known about the incident. And to do that, I'm going to rely on the court filing related to the federal charges that DePape is facing.
On October 28th, 2022, at 2:23 a.m., San Francisco Dispatch received a 911 call from Paul Pelosi. Pelosi stated words to the effect of there is a male in the home and that the male is going to wait for Pelosi's wife. Pelosi further conveyed that he does not know who the male is. The male said his name is David. At 2:31 a.m., San Francisco Police Department officer Colby Wilms responded to the Pelosi residence and knocked on the front door. When the door was opened, Pelosi and DePop were both holding a hammer with one hand, and DePop had his other hand holding on to Pelosi's forearm. Pelosi greeted the officers. The officers asked them what was going on. DePop responded that everything was good. Officers then asked Pelosi and DePop to drop the hammer. DePop pulled the hammer from Pelosi's hand and swung the hammer, striking Pelosi in the head. Officers immediately went inside and were able to restrain DePop. While officers were restraining DePop, Pelosi appeared to be unconscious on the ground. Officers removed a cell phone, cash, Clipper cards, and an unidentified card from DePop's right shorts pocket. DePop provided officers his first and last name. After officers asked DePop if he had an ID on him, DePop said it might be in his backpack on the back porch and later stated his backpack was near the broken glass. When officers removed DePop from Pelosi's residence, police body-worn camera footage showed a glass door that appeared to be laminated glass broken near the door handle. San Francisco Police Department recovered zip ties in Pelosi's bedroom and in the hallway near the front door of the Pelosi residence. In addition, law enforcement searched DePop's backpack at the Pelosi residence, and they found, among other things, a roll of tape, white rope, one hammer, one pair of rubber and cloth gloves, and a journal.
Pelosi remained hospitalized Saturday, recovering from surgery to repair a skull fracture and serious injuries to his right arm and hand. It sounds like DePop was not in a good place. CNN reported that an acquaintance of DePop's named Linda Schneider got to know the man roughly 8 years ago and that he occasionally house sat for her. When they met, she said, DePop was living in a storage unit in the Berkeley area and told her that he had been struggling with hard drugs, but he was, quote, trying to create a new life for himself. So what exactly motivated DePop to do such a horrible thing? He left behind a pair of far-right blogs called Friendly Friends and The Loving God. Many posts are filled with screeds against Jews, black people, Democrats, the media, and transgender people. There was also some anti-Catholic screeds. For example, he made this post in reference to the Eucharist.
Other than Satanism, I know of at least one major religion with millions of devout followers around the world that believes in the power of human sacrifice. This evil religion is so common you probably have heard of it. You may even practice it.
Yeah, so get some chick track stuff. In a August 23rd entry, DePop wrote, quote, either Q is Trump himself or Q is the deep state moles within Trump's inner circle. He also wrote, quote, how did I get into all this? Gamergate. It was Gamergate. The New York Times managed to get an interview with a man who once employed DePop. His name is Frank Cicerelli. Here's from that report.
Over the 6 years he has known Mr. DePop, Mr. Cicerelli said he witnessed a transformation from a shy and hard-working but troubled man into someone who is increasingly isolated and captive to his darkest thoughts. Quote, if you got him talking about politics, it was all over, Mr. Cicerelli recalled in an interview this week, because he really believed in the whole MAGA, Pizzagate, stolen election, all of it, all the way down the line.
It's a common thing. Once you believe sort of one bullshit conspiracy theory, kind of opens you up to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in response to these events, and especially the blogs in which he sort of revealed his beliefs, there was a conspiracy theory that these blogs were like created on the day of the attacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. They were been up for months, but they were only archived on the day of the attacks because people sought them out and archived them. So like people misunderstood that. That just because someone is some blog has only been archived recently, that doesn't mean it was created recently.
Yeah, that's a good point to make because I've seen a lot of that going around. There is so many. It's like it's so fucked when you see this stuff when somebody who is radicalized by conspiracies and far right thinking actually commits violence. There is this like rush on the right to. Minimalize it or frame it as lies or frame it as part of a bigger conspiracy. It's Yeah, and oftentimes with crimes like this, we won't have the full story, for some time until everything sort of gets investigated, uncovered, and then that information gets reported by major media outlets. And so this idea of using a misunderstanding like the archiving of the website is used to sow doubt in people's minds about actual reporting, and I think it's important to point out.
A lot of people tried to claim that this was like maybe a random act of violence or something, but DePop also gave an interview with the San Francisco Police Department, in which he made clear why he was doing this.
DePop stated that he was going to hold Nancy hostage and talk to her. If Nancy were to tell DePop the truth, he would let her go, and if she lied, he was going to break her kneecaps. DePop was certain that Nancy would not have told the truth. In the course of the interview, DePop articulated he viewed Nancy as the leader of the pack of lies told by the Democratic Party. DePop also later explained that by breaking Nancy's kneecaps, she would then have to be wheeled into Congress, which would show other members of Congress there were consequences to actions. DePop also explained generally that he wanted to use Nancy to lure another individual to DePop. DePop stated that he broke into the house through a glass door, which was a difficult task that required the use of a hammer. DePop stated that Pelosi was in bed and appeared surprised by DePop. DePop told Pelosi to wake up. DePop told Pelosi that he was looking for Nancy. Pelosi responded that she was not present. Pelosi asked how they could resolve the situation and what DePop wanted to do. DePop stated he wanted to tie Pelosi up so that DePop could go to sleep, as he was tired from having had to carry a backpack to the Pelosi residence. Around this time, according to DePop started taking out twist ties from his pocket so that he could restrain Pelosi. Pelosi moved towards another part of the house, but DePop stopped him, and together they went back into the bedroom. While talking with each other, Pelosi went into a bathroom where Pelosi grabbed a phone to call 911. DePop stated he felt like Pelosi's actions compelled him to respond. DePop remembered thinking that there was no way the police were going to forget about the phone call. DePop explained that he did not leave after Pelosi's call to 911 because, much like the American founding fathers with the British, he was fighting against tyranny without the option of surrender.
You're fucking Canadian, man. The fuck are you talking about?
DePop stated that they went downstairs to the front door, the police arrived and knocked on the door, and Pelosi ran over and opened it. Pelosi grabbed onto DePop's hammer, which was in DePop's hand. At this point in the interview, DePop repeated that DePop did not plan to surrender and he would go through Pelosi.
Within hours of the attack, a series of unsubstantiated claims started circulating in fringe far-right circles that contradicted the official police account of how the attack unfolded. One of the claims made online was that David DePop was found in his underwear. This claim from a single outlet, and the claim was quickly retracted. So what happened was that KTVU Fox 2 in the Bay Area initially reported that DePop was in his underwear when he was apprehended. The news outlet has since corrected that mistake, and they added an editor's note to the article. But from this false detail, conspiracists started claiming that David DePop was not a home intruder, but was rather Paul Pelosi's lover, or possibly a prostitute that Paul Pelosi had hired.
I don't want to be a dick about it, but like, DePop is not, I mean, if you're going to have like a boy toy and you have as much money as Pelosi, like you're going to not buy a DePop.
You're not,
that's not
right.
going to happen.
If you are a venture capitalist, if you have venture capitalist money, you're not hiring a 42-year-old boy toy.
No way.
I want to point out, so like, if you are a sort of like a far-right conspiracist foot soldier, and you carry out the sort of like acts of real-world action that you think is necessary to save the country, your allies aren't going to come rushing to your defense when you get arrested. They're going to call you fake and gay.
Yeah.
So this belief was amplified by Congressman Clay Higgins. He tweeted a picture of Nancy Pelosi with this caption:
"That moment you realize the nudist hippie male prostitute LSD guy was the reason your husband didn't make it to your fundraiser."
So the claim was also pushed by QAnon promoter Dustin Nemos.
On this episode, it seems that Pelosi's husband was hammered by and or with a gay prostitute late at night who was in his home, found in their underwear possibly, although that was retracted by Fox News quickly after they put it out there for some reason. I don't know. The story keeps changing. We will keep you up to date. But apparently this nudist far-left radical gay prostitute somehow converted into a conservative MAGA alt-right leader overnight if you follow these things, that's how it generally goes. Every time something bad happens, they try to pin it on conservatives, no matter how little sense that makes.
That bit about him being a nudist. So this comes from a 2013 article in the San Francisco Chronicle that identified the man as a hemp jewelry maker and said that he lived with a nudist activist. Other photos published by the Chronicle show they pop while fully clothed at a nude wedding on the steps of the San Francisco City Hall. These details somehow made some conservatives conclude that actually he was a full-on lefty, which is really weird because it's pretty established now that that there's a new age to QAnon pipeline. There's no contradiction between being a star child or being into new age stuff and being radicalized by Pizzagate. OAN also ran with the theory that actually he was some sort of lover of Paul Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi, the crypt keeper of Washington, roundly condemned the attack on her husband, and rightly so. No one should be assaulted in their own home, whether the attacker was actually invited over for some spirited horseplay that turned into a lover's quarrel or not.
Former President Donald Trump also hinted at this theory. He suggested that someone involved with the incident was trying to get out rather than it being a break-in.
Wow, it's weird things going on in that household in the last couple of weeks. Probably you and I are better not talking about it, but it seems was broken from the inside to the out. And, it wasn't a break-in, it was a breakout. I don't know. You hear the same things I do.
Yeah, the 9/11 tape seems to suggest that that he knew the identity of the guy.
Yeah. That's a lot of bad stuff. I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi, but what's going on there is very sad.
Yeah, it seems to me there would be security evidence of this. There just seems to be more to this story. Would it be safe to say?
This is, I think, more than the traffic accident, it looks like to me. I think the traffic
to pin it on
accident
Republicans or you, sir? I mean, how absurd. Clearly, this was a deranged man. We know that much.
Yeah. The whole thing is crazy. I mean, if there's even a little bit of truth to what's being said.
Okay, so he sounds kind of like
he
he's
does
got
not
a cold.
sound so good. Yeah, I was just gonna say. And come on, do I really need to listen to some AM radio guy try to get Trump to co-sign more conspiracies? I mean, this is like, it's so interesting. It's almost as if you have, the conspiracist in chief, and now this guy is like, well, don't you think it's a little weird that they were doing this and all this? And it's like he's pushing Trump to say more conspiracies, which he's more than happy to oblige him. But even for Trump, I mean, he even shows a little bit of restraint here.
Yeah, it's funny that he keeps hinting at oh, you know what they're saying. You know what they're saying about the whole thing, but he's not willing to bring himself to actually say it.
No.
Now, to make matters worse, Elon Musk also amplified this claim. After Hillary Clinton tweeted an article about the assailant's extremist beliefs, Musk responded with a link to a conspiracist website called the Santa Monica Observer. And Musk said this:
"There is a tiny possibility there might be more to this story than meets the eye."
The article alleges that Pelosi was drunk and in a fight with a male prostitute. Musk later deleted that tweet without an explanation or apology. Now, this website that he posted was kind of interesting, considering he owns Twitter. It's the Santa Monica Observer. It's notorious for publishing a lot of fake news. For example, it published claims in 2016 that Hillary Clinton was actually dead and that a body double debated Donald Trump.
Oh, God. It's not even a remotely plausible conspiracy.
No,
it's just trash.
It's real JFK Jr. lives level bullshit. Months after the Clinton claim, the news site also incorrectly reported that Trump had appointed Kanye West to a high-level position in the Interior Department. More recently, this website falsely reported that Bill Gates was personally responsible for the polio epidemic. It was like Weekly World News level insane horseshit.
Who is sending this shit to Musk?
The wealthiest fucking man in the world, the new owner of Twitter, is posting, hey, check out this. With 100 million followers. It's fucking insanity.
Yeah, because I'm sure somebody fucking sent it to him, and he was like, ooh, juicy. Like, oh, maybe I'll post it under Hillary. Like, oh my God. Who cares? It's all for the worms now.
It is. There's another claim going around that the break-in was not captured by security cameras. Now, it turns out there was security cameras, but they weren't being actively monitored in the early morning because Nancy Pelosi was out of town at the time. The Washington Post reported that Capitol Police didn't spot the incident until the local police already arrived.
Inside the command center for the U.S. Capitol Police, a handful of officers were going through their routines early Friday morning, cycling through live feeds from the department's 1,800 cameras used to monitor the nearby Capitol complex, as well as some points beyond, when an officer stopped. On a screen showing a darkened street nearly 3,000 miles away, police lights were flashing outside the home of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, officials say. The officer in D.C. quickly pulled up additional camera angles from around Pelosi's home and began to backtrack, watching recordings from the minutes before San Francisco police arrived. There, on camera, was a man with a hammer breaking a glass panel and entering the speaker's home, according to 3 people familiar with how Capitol Police learned of the break-in and who have been briefed on or viewed the video themselves. Now, this is actually an interesting point to touch on because there are a lot of conspiracy theories going around saying, oh, well, the cameras were broken, or it's just like Epstein, or my security camera at home, records all the time. So there is a video, actually, obviously just hasn't been released yet, but so that counteracts the claims people are making that the cameras were, coincidentally sort of shut off at the time. It's not the case.
There's no substance to that claim at all. Now, it's just what's going on here, I think, is pretty straightforward. So here was an unwell man who was radicalized by right-wing conspiracy theories, and he was radicalized in the violence. And this is a thing that has happened frequently, over and over again. A couple of months ago, a Trump fan attempted to assault the FBI office in Cincinnati with a nail gun before dying in a shootout. Very recently, it was reported that a QAnon follower who even had like a Q sticker on his car was convicted of murder. This is the case of California man Rory Banks, who is 44 years old. What happened was he found a list of sex offenders in his area, and he straight up just killed one of them. So it's not like a wild thing to say that, like, oh, a man who was not doing so great was found this conspiracist worldview and found it very fulfilling, and then he decided to not just leave it online. He decided to take his beliefs out into the real world. Now, what I find kind of disturbing is not the conspiracy theories themselves, is the purpose of the conspiracy theories. And it was basically to cover up this sort of the root cause of this extremist violence. It's not even about Paul Pelosi. It's the fact that these sorts of these narratives just literally hours after the assault happened, they all sprung up and they meant to cover up the very plain facts of what was really happening.
Yeah, what's interesting is that it's not enough to just say, oh, the Pelosi's are corrupt. They do insider trading. There's a variety of different ways to kind of, I think, criticize the Pelosi's that don't include covering up for some guy who broke in with a hammer and attacked a guy's skull. Absurd.
And not to mention, there's not an ounce of empathy for this 80-year-old guy who was savagely attacked in his own house. It's literally just not even taking time to let the human tragedy of both Paul Pelosi and this very sick guy whose life is he's going to probably spend the rest of his life in jail. You are immediately rushing to figure out how this can be twisted so that nobody, God forbid anybody thinks that the rhetoric that the Republicans hammer on day in, day out is going to lead to physical real world violence. Never that.
Well, I also think this is another consequence of viewing everything through the lens of narrative warfare, where they think that, the narrative of someone radicalized by Pizzagate and other sort of conspiracy theories and radicalized into violence, that's a narrative designed to make the right look bad. So you got to counter that with your own narratives that actually make the Pelosi household look bad. I mean, it's very kind of postmodernist belief that there's no real sort of solid empirical truth that corresponds to that corresponds to reality. It's just everything's just a narrative fighting against other narratives.
And sadly, this is just going to lead to a stronger police state, more surveillance, more paranoia about like, you know, these these lower class people coming to hurt us. So yeah, we just lose all around. Worm world.
Conspiracies about to
Fucking
pop.
worm world.
You know, he was not acting alone. He was sent by somebody. You know, he's you know, a trained assassin. I mean, you're just in a world where it is almost unimaginable that one of our highest ranking government officials' home was so susceptible to a violent attack. People are going to rush to try to explain how that happened and why it happened.
Not that just like unhinged people are just pushed closer and closer to violence because they're just surrounded by incomprehensible things, just profound corruption, and then people trying to like lie to them to weaponize them in their fucking narrative warfare.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the QAnon Anonymous podcast. You can go to patreon.com/QAnon Anonymous and subscribe for $5 a month to get a whole second episode every single week, plus access to our entire archive of premium episodes, of which there are hundreds now.
Hundreds. There's also the entire 10-episode run of Trickle Down by Travis View that explores what happens when disinformation comes from the top.
Correct.
And we are in the middle of 10 episodes of Man Clan, which is exploring online masculinists and misogynists and the world of trying to teach young men how to be strong boys.
And if you're a subscriber already, you obviously have access to both of the miniseries that Julian just mentioned, and special thanks from us for helping us stay advertising free and editorially independent.
Yeah, thanks so much.
For everything else, we've got a website, QAnonanonymous.com.
Listener, until next week, may the deep dish bless you and keep you.
It's not a conspiracy, it's fact.
And now, today's auto cue.
Elon Musk's Hyperloop prototype tube is gone. Hawthorne neighbors wanted their streets back. The above-ground Hyperloop testing tube in Hawthorne had sat idle for several years, drawing complaints about road and pedestrian access, as well as questions of its purpose.